Here's a request we've never received before, and that is, how do you decide which size painting to create? I've seen some artists insist on working small, others insist that bigger is better. Please provide some guidance on how to choose which size painting to create. Well, what is the perfect size? I'll never forget the shock I felt the first time I saw a Rembrandt painting in the National Gallery of Art. It was one of his portraits, and it was about this size, very small. Well, I had seen photographs of that. Somehow I had imagined that that would be a much larger painting. And so we're used to seeing photographs of master artists, especially those back in the earlier centuries, and we just sort of perceive that they're painting very, very large, whereas many times they were painting smaller. And then, of course, I know there has been this trend on YouTube videos and other places too that advocate painting small. And there was a time back in the 60s, 70s when larger is better. Well, the truth is there is no perfect size. You make decisions about the size you use according to several things. There might be several things that would figure into it. So we have the smaller size. They're even smaller. I mean, some of the canvases they're making these days are like 3 by 4 inches. And then there is the huge size. We got what we consider sort of the average size, like this. Then we got the much bigger ones like this one. And then much, much bigger than that. So big that it requires special easels. It just depends upon what you feel like the size should be. Now, other things figure into it too. So you might not have a long period of time to paint. You might be painting in plein air and you have a short window of time. And certainly the sun is not going to hold still for you more than about 2 hours. So because of that, a lot of plein air painters choose to paint very small. On the other hand, you might have a scene that you've done studies for, and you're in your studio and you just have a feeling that this needs to be expressed very large. So you choose a larger canvas for that. But sometimes a subject just speaks to you, and yes, it really does. If you allow it, for painters, subjects speak to us. And a lot of times it says, you just sort of know internally that it needs to be one size or another. So when you're choosing your painting size, don't get uptight about it. One thing you should never pay attention to is when somebody tells you that your paintings must be a certain size. No painting must be a certain size. And you can reinforce that by going into galleries, especially if you are visiting in Europe, and all the galleries we can find in Europe. Go into those galleries and look at the variations of size. We can see photographs of some of the salons from centuries ago where they just stack paintings all across the walls right beside each other, and you see all the variations in size. So I always, when I have a question about anything dealing with painting, especially when I've been told it must be this way or it must be another, I always refer back to history. What have painters done historically? And what you will find, if you will do that research, is that historically painters select the size that works better for the moment or for the subject, or even sometimes you might have a commission that gives you a size range that the commissioner might want the painting done in. So why don't we just all relax about size and use the size that feels better for whatever you want to do. Be sure to view all of our quick tips. And while you're doing so, subscribe to the channel, click on the bell so you'll always get a notice when we produce a new quick tip, which is every week. And if you have a question, leave it in the comments section and we'll make a quick tip for you. Also, take a trip over to DianneMize.com. where I have full-length lessons, downloads, DVDs, lots of other stuff there, some free stuff for you. And while you're there, you can subscribe to the newsletter, and that way you'll always be informed every time we do something new.